Welcome to our Friday session. Today we're going to be talking about getting some extra assistance, and we're going to be led by Hermie Borain, who works with us in GTAC. So without any further ado, Hermie, I'm going to hand over to you. We're in your capable hands. Thank you.
Right, good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to have so many people in the room sharing my enthusiasm and my curiosity for this very, very important topic. So I'm going to share my screen. So today, the focus will be on. Let me just get it started here. Yeah. So my focus is going to be on showing you some examples, going through different functionality of this artificial intelligence chatbots that we now have available. There's another discussion that actually needs to happen that is equally, if not more important, but that I don't think is the intention of what we will do today. And that discussion is strategically what this means for GTAC and for government as a whole. How do we react to this? And how do we take, maybe, I don't know if we're able to take the lead. Others are taking the lead here, but what is our response to this very powerful technology that has come into the hands of normal people since end of last year, almost. So I've actually, I started using it a while ago. Don't know why it's not moving. How do I get it to move? Escape. Let us
Hermie,
just page
share it
down.
with me. I can assist.
Okay. Or let me just go from the current slide and just see why. Okay, so with the three chatbots that we're going to consider today are ChatGPT, Bing Chat, and Google Bard. And they are based on technology, it's natural language processing technology, large language models, all big words that we don't use, that we won't go into today. The important thing for you to first do is just to get yourself connected and get yourself connected to the free versions of the software. Because, you know, as we sit here, new plugins and new products become available that are all built on the basic GPT models. But it comes at a price. So there's a big business opportunity going on. There's quite stiff competition in this space between the developers. As recent as yesterday, I got a notification that this OpenAI, this ChatGPT, is now available as an application on the cell phone. And I downloaded it. It even has a bit of more functionality than the free version we have on the desktop. And then this morning I got a notification that Google Bard now it now has the ability to also give images. So you can describe something and it gives an image to you. So the development is very fast-paced. The sooner I think we get to familiarize ourselves with it, the better. Okay, so there's, we can compare this in a lot of detail. the best is to start playing with it and to see how it works for you. I sometimes have all three open, and I toggle between the three and just see how it reacts to the prompts I give it. The key thing with ChatGPT is that it's based on data that's updated until September, I think it's September 2021. So it's not the best engine to use if you need recent information. For that, Bing Chat, I find, is very suitable. ChatGPT's language abilities just continue to amaze me, and its accuracy, its creativity. But you know what we say today may not be, may be outdated tomorrow at the paces at which this is in competition. Right. Now, the most important thing when you want to use this is to understand how to prompt it. So that is, you know, these days there's a new job called prompt engineer. And that is people, and they get a decent salary. Their task is to develop prompts that are able to extract exactly what a client wants from this language models. So, because you know, there's every day new products are being developed, and you want your product to be you know, competitive in the market. But the key principles, and it's very logical, that you have to be specific when you ask it something. So, and you have to give it a bit of context. Otherwise, it comes from a very broad angle. And then you're able to give it, to specify quite in detail the style you want the feedback to be on, the formatting, and so on. So this is, you know, and there's many such things available. If you start searching on the internet, and I mean, you can now search with these tools, but to make it even easier. But, you know, this is just a kind of a suggestion of how you can word such a prompt. But I mean, your prompt can be short, but and it can be more specific. This could apply better to a certain type of output you want. So it's something like, I want you to act as a medical doctor. I will give you my symptoms. You will then provide a step-by-step guide as to what I need to do next. And I want this in a sympathetic and empathic style. The important details are, I feel tired, I'm not sleeping, I'm burnt out, and I'm losing weight every day. And so it can continue. And then, and I want it step by step, something like that. And then you'll be amazed at what it comes up with. So this is a practical example. And, you know, you can, if you're now in a human resource department, you can say, I want you to act as a HRD specialist. I'll give you the responsibilities associated with a post to be filled. You will create an advertisement for the newspaper, an interview template, interview questions, and some model answers. Use a friendly and professional tone. The important details are, and there you fill in the job title, responsibilities, the salary range, the closing date. Please prepare a document pack. So let us dive right in. I'm going to copy this prompt. Let me copy this prompt. Here I have ChatGPT open. you will see this is what it looks like. Previous chats are stored there, and you can go back to it. And the very nice feature of ChatGPT is, and all the others also, they have memory. So you can start with a broader question, and then you can zone in and closer and give it, more detail and more detail as you go along. And it will remember what you've given it in your previous prompts. So I just copy that in. But now I have to give it at least the responsibilities of this post. So I took one of the job descriptions in our unit. It is a team assistant job description. And I'm just copying the outputs that are expected from this job. Now, this is not necessarily the best way to go about it, but this is just an example. So I Control V it in there, and I send this to ChatGPT. I haven't, I've asked it to do a job advertisement. There's the advertisement with the responsibilities. If I had typos or language problems in that list I've given it, it will all be fixed now.
Hermie, sorry
Yeah,
to come in.
yes.
Just your bandwidth comes and go a little bit. Would you mind just switch off your beautiful face camera?
Ooh,
Just
is
to
it
help us
still
with.
on?
Yes.
Gosh.
Thank you.
Oh,
We love to see you, but just in the interest of bandwidth.
thanks for that. I didn't know. Okay, so yeah, you can now see the what it's done here. Job advertisement, responsibilities, requirements, high school diploma, some equivalent. I don't give any of this. This is based on similar type of text ChatGPT found in that billions of records it trained on. So you can see it all makes a lot of sense. The salary range is a competitive salary. He didn't give that. We appreciate, so it didn't really, okay, continue generating. So it stopped because it's long. Okay, so it did the job advertisement. So let us ask it to, if I'm not happy at this stage, I can ask it to regenerate the response, and it will come up with a different response. Yes. Okay, and then now maybe I can say, please provide interview, or let us say 5 interview questions. So all relevant to this information I've provided. Maybe I can ask it for some answers. Maybe I'm clueless about this post and what this candidate should answer. So let us say, please, or you can just say, provide key answers per question. So maybe, this is what you can expect. And if you're not happy, maybe you can work on your prompt, or you can ask it to generate a new response for you. Maybe we don't know how to conduct an interview, so you can say interview template. interview template or script. Let's see what he does with script. You see, all the words you need to say in a decent interview. And with some advice, remember to take detailed notes during the interview to assist with evaluation. You can even ask it to draw up a kind of a score sheet. I'm very sure of that. Okay, so this is just that example to show you the prompting. Sometimes it's not good to give it multiple instructions at once, as you saw in this example. Okay, so let's go to a data analysis example. So I have a data set here. It's actually the Development Indicators publication. It is a publication done by the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation on a regular basis. Unfortunately, I work now from an older version. But just to show you, it's a big annual publication. Let's say we want to analyze poverty in South Africa. So this is just one of the sheets here. And if you look at this data, it's different years. And then it gives you different poverty lines. It's the upper bound, the lower bound, percentage living below the food poverty line. So it's basically three poverty lines with percentages, and then also the number of people in millions. So you can see the maybe 2006, the upper bound, 67% of the population were below the upper bound poverty line. And that number dropped to 56% in 2015, where the number also dropped from 31.6 million to 30.4 million in 2015. But let us now see, and that is true for most of these. You can also see it in the graphs there. But let us see if we can just copy and paste this. I just say Control-C. I go to ChatGPT. Now I must remember, I must open a new chat, because if I go back to that HR role, the previous chat, it's going to try and connect that memory of that chat to what I'm now asking. So now maybe it's going to try and find me a very poor a very poor person. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's going to count or connect those two aspects in some way. So let us say, please analyze this data. And I just say Control-V. It doesn't even matter that it's not nicely formatted, that it looks like scrambled like there. So now it says to analyze the data, we observe the trends and changes over the years. So it gives us, for each series, it looks like it gives us just first an analysis. So if you don't have time, and then it even comes with a conclusion. Overall, the data suggests some fluctuations in poverty levels in South Africa between 26 and 15. While there were improvements in some indicators during certain periods, other indicators showed increased poverty rates or fluctuated. It's essential to consider additional factors and analyze more recent data to understand the current state of poverty in South Africa accurately. So very good advice and a very good overall conclusion. But I need to go and check if everything it generated here is in fact correct and consistent. Right, so now what I can do is to say a follow-up to this. Say I'm now in a position that I have to support somebody with a speech who maybe make this a ANC politician. Act as an ANC politician and prepare a speech highlighting 3 positive points. So here it comes with 3 points, but now it's in a very different type of style. It's now in speech style. In a couple of seconds, I now have something that I can work from and improve and customize and correct where necessary. I don't know, I couldn't read this fast, but it all looked like very suitable for, but you today I'm not going to focus on the quality of the output. It's more, I think it's for every user to go and do that, because if you use this, it's ethical to go and check this for yourself, because you are taking final responsibility for what you provide. Okay, and then you can go further and say, but what would a politician from the opposition party say about this? What would you know, another role? What would the head of Treasury say about this? Or you see, now this one is concerned about the state of poverty. It's persistent. It's fluctuating. Maybe there's some issue with the data. Yeah, still it's persistent. And then the numbers remained very high. The number of people in extreme poverty. So I don't know about you, but I'm not able to produce this type of writing in this in this space of time. And yeah, so it's a good starting point for you to work from. Okay, let us, while we have the Excel open, let's go to another feature, and you may have read in the media about its ability to write code and so on. But maybe before we start writing code, let's say we want to know how to make a pivot table in Excel. So let us go to, we can actually go to anyone. Let us go to Bing. Bing is this blue one. As you can see, I have it open there. So let us ask it from Bing. How do you make a pivot table in Excel? So Bing does a web search, which is a bit different from the other two. So its methodology is a bit different. But it gives me quite good instructions with references to where I can find this, How to Geek, WikiHow, and the Microsoft site. And what is nice there, you can see there, and a YouTube link, plus follow-up questions that that may be relevant to what I've asked now. So I find this quite useful, because sometimes you don't know what is a good way to you know what you want to know, but to go and frame that question. So yeah, so here's here you can see it gives you that. That is not a feature that I've seen in ChatGPT. Okay, so that's quite useful, but you can, I mean, the sky is the limit here. You can ask it for help on Excel functions. You can give it the wrong function and ask you to correct it or give advice around that. Okay, but now let's go to another feature that's more to the coding side. So I noticed in that Excel workbook, it does not have an index. So it's got so many sheets. You can see the list there. It has so many sheets. And obviously this is a key where you can go to any one of the sheets, but there's no index. Maybe this can become a nice book if it just had an index. So I want ChatGPT to assist me with a macro to create a table of contents with links to the different sheets in that workbook. So now again, I open a new chat and I ask it to do this, write an Excel macro. So now it is coding and it's telling me to use this macro, follow these steps. First, obviously, I have to copy the code. There's the code. This is, and I copy it. I just click there. Now it's on my clipboard. Now it tells me, press Alt F11 to open the Visual Basic Editor. So when I'm in that workbook, I do this. I press Alt 11. I go to a new module by clicking Insert, selecting Module, copy and paste the above code into the module window, then close it, then press Alt F8 to open the macro dialog box. You select the macro and you run the macro, and that macro will do this what I requested of it. So let's go to that workbook. I say Alt F11, and it takes me to maybe a part of Excel that I don't go to every day. Insert module. And I say Control V because I just paste that. And it said I have to close this. And I can run it from here. Or I can do that Alt, was it F5 or F8? Yeah, F8. But let me run it from here. Run macro. There's only one macro and I can run it. Let me go out of this. And there, lo and behold, is that worksheet list is added with links to the different worksheets. So if I want to look at, say, inflation, go to worksheet. There I'm going to inflation, and I can go and move that that worksheet, the index one, I can move it where I need it to be. It inserted it where I was. But anyway, so that's finer trimmings. But colleagues, if I had to do a Google search to find this macro, it would have taken me longer. I'm sure I would have spent much more time doing this than what I showed you now. Okay, so I hope you're still with me. We're recording this so you'll be able to follow it later. Right, now summarizing is also very, very, we in GTAC, we're a knowledge organization, and, our currency is information. We handle it every day. we have big reviews, and then you have to summarize it to a single page, or you have to extract important information, and so on. So, and this is where these language models are also very, very powerful. So you can, for instance, say to it, summarize the book and give it a known book, provide an overview of, summarize this into one tweet, and so on. Let's say I had to read this book. It's a well-known book. So the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Let's go to Bard for this. And I say provide an overview of this book. So it tells me a self-help book. It sold so many copies based on an idea how to become a more effective person. There's the 7 principles. Is a classic self-help book that helped millions of people, and some additional details about each of the 7 habits, and so on. And now I can, and there's also sources linked to it and related topics, which is quite useful. And I can maybe, and I can maybe, if I now want to say I want to zoom into a specific topic, then I can say, please provide, or please expand on number 6. Let's see if it understands me with that it will know. Sure, habit 6 is synergize. Now I can zoom into this. Maybe I have to go and give a speech somewhere at my club or whatever. I can ask it for a plan to help me foster synergy in my own life and whatever. Okay, so this is just one example of a summary, but I mean, you can use your own material to summarize as well and extract key points from it. Okay, so the next one is just an example to show you how I can extract and categorize information using these tools. So for this one, the example I'm going to use is an email we received. It's a regular newsletter that is written for GTAC of different activities. I think some of you may be on the distribution list of it. So let's say it's already summarized and in a nice form. So there's no excuses not to read it, but maybe at some point I really don't have time. So I just copy, I set Control-C, and I go to ChatGPT. Let's go to chat or to anyone. And I'm opening a new chat and I'm asking it, okay, let me copy this information, but remember I must give it a prompt. Control Home takes me to the top. And the prompt I want to give it is to say, please list the articles or please summarize per article in. And let's see what it comes up with. Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, etc. So it will continue generating that with the bullet points. It's more or less, I think, what is in that email. But maybe it I could maybe say to it, I want to have a list of, okay, let us say, please extract all themes, events, names, and institutions from it. So I just want to, for some reason, I want to see, was I mentioned or, so you'll see it, yes, the whole thing, it actually, maybe it's now longer than what it was. But anyway, let's see how its ability to extract information from it. So the themes, there they are, the events, the names with the institutions. Okay, now let's try and see how its ability to categorize information. So I can say categorize. And you put in table format. This is a very vague prompt, but you see it remembers my previous instruction, and it's now able to summarize it all in the prescribed format, which would have taken me quite long if I had to do it. So there's definitely saving time on the first draft, but as I said repeatedly, maybe some of this is not correct, and I have to check it because this is a language model. It's not replacing a human. It's your assistant in the office. Okay, it's very good to generate ideas. So let's ask it to brainstorm new and unique ideas for governments to create employment through small business development. So let's go to a new chat because it's unrelated, and so it lists microloan initiatives, business incubation centers, skills development grants, collaborative co-working spaces, procurement preferences, online business support platforms, industry-specific training programs, tax incentives, export assistance programs, collaboration with universities. So that's quite a number of ideas, and I can ask it to regenerate, or I can refine it a bit. Maybe a follow-up could be to say, provide examples of these initiatives in South Africa. Remember, the first one didn't say anything about South Africa. So let's see if it's able to do it. CEDA, Youth Development Agency. Okay, there's a ministry, CIFA, TIA, Small Business Innovation Fund. You see, this is not my topic, but I'm sure if you working in this area, you will be able to even take this and say, take this to any one of the others and say, could you add more? Or even to this one, please add more examples. Please add more. And it will bring, maybe some of it may be already mentioned. Yeah, some we may have been mentioned before. Okay, so I think, and this is in the hands of our young people. It's just I think the more people know of the power in this, you may be able to create your own business, develop your own website, do your own marketing, all with the help of these assistants. Okay, then writing prompts. So this is quite useful. Please help me write a research report on the state of unemployment in South Africa and public sector initiatives for employment creation. You can see this is a theme that we work on these days. So let me go to a new chat. The writing ability of ChatGPT is quite strong. So here it gives me an outline of a paper. What would be key elements that one would expect in such a paper? And see that qualification there. Please note that this is just an outline and you can modify it or add more sections as per your requirements. And obviously now you can go and you can say, please write me a paragraph on any of these. You can go through this whole thing and create a paper like this with artificial intelligence. But that is not I think the idea behind good writing. Good writing should be structured, but unique and authentic to the writer. So we need to understand the limitations also of this product. Okay, so in terms of emails, it's also something that takes a long time every day, but let's suppose you have to remind a colleague that they still need you to sign something off or to review, in this case, to review an urgent memorandum. So let's ask ChatGPT to help us write that email. Because so there's that instruction. So it comes immediately with a subject. Dear colleague, I hope this email finds you well, reaching out to you, etc. As you know, this project is all significant and whatever, could you please provide me? If you've challenges, there's urgency. Thank you very much for your cooperation. I look forward, and you go and customize it. Let's say this is somebody you know well and you want it in a more informal tone. Otherwise, that one may get a fright and run away if it's your friend or so. Let's go back there to that same chat and ask it, please rewrite in more informal tone. The response time obviously also depends on international utilization. You may sometimes get that it takes longer or that it even kicks you out. Then you just come back later and continue with it because it's sometimes overworked. Hope you're doing well. Want to check in with you. This project is a big deal for us, that we nail the memo, and so on and so on. So this is definitely more informal. And yeah, I think if it's somebody who knows you well, they will notice that this is written by AI, I think. So be careful. You can also ask it to do some language and grammar editing and things like that. So but this is something you can also do in a normal Word document. But ChatGPT also has that functionality. I don't know how we're doing for time. Maybe I must skip that one, and you can go and do that in your own time. The search tool, maybe Anita, or how much time do you think I should spend? Because there's a search tool, there's planning, there's still more examples to come. But yeah, I think I can stop here if we want to allow a bit of time for discussion.
So, Hermie, there has been some conversations in the chat. So maybe I think if you want to do one more example, then we can have a discussion and maybe just address some of the questions and give time for colleagues to discuss.
Yes, okay.
So it's maybe another 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
Checking, Hermie, Anita.
Yes.
Normally, and I think this is so interesting. I mean, I wonder whether we can maybe go a little bit after 3, let's say, because we have gone on longer. Maybe if people are interested, we go on at least until 3:15. Simply because this is so fascinating, and Hermie, we need to get you back to take us through this again. So, but in the meantime, I think we will be good if we go on until around 3:15 or so.
Okay, no, that's fine with me. I think it's a good approach, that we cover a bit more, because I promised something on procurement. So let's say I'm in a procurement office and I want to buy laptops for, or I want to develop a policy on laptops, or for the company, or for my organization. So let us use this prompt. I think you will agree with me that the issue in this case is not with using this tool, because it's basically I'm copy and pasting into this message box. I'm sending it and I'm getting a response back. So it's not that the complexity is definitely not with a tool. So it's very easy to use. It's more to cover what it can do, and to start seeing how you can get it to do what you want it to do. So it's this prompting that's important. So let's first, before we give it the instruction, let's say act as a procurement specialist. Let's say an IT procurement specialist. Could you provide minimum specs for a laptop suitable for an entry-level administrative office workers in government? So the processor should be Intel Core i3 or higher. And it tells you why you need that functionality. So it comes up with that whole list of things you have to look at. It's a processor because it's sufficient performance for general office tasks. The RAM will be sufficient, multiple applications simultaneously. The storage, because these days, I mean, we're working in the cloud. Then there's the size of the screen, the operating system that you always also need to include when you procure. Battery life, because that means then you can go through a typical workout without frequent recharging. Ports and connectivity. So it's quite detailed. Things that we may not have thought of ourselves to include in this. So, but now I want to give the specs. Maybe let's give the specs to one of the other tools. Let me just drive down. Control C. Let's go to board. I'm going to reset the chat. I'm not sure how well Bart remembers all the old things. And let's say, please suggest laptops with these specs. And I must just wipe this advice. I didn't specify the number of laptops I want, so I can go and refine this, but it's giving me, there are a few laptops. There's the ProBook, the Dell, the Lenovo with pictures and all of that. Which laptop is right? That will depend on your needs and budgets. Is a good choice. Okay, let's give that same information to Bing and ask it to suggest laptops that are available in South Africa. So I go to Bing, Control V. Please suggest laptops available in let's say I want three cheap. Because remember, I'm a procurement officer, so I want to get things done with little budget. So you see how it refined the search there. With prices in rand. The first one is 9,000, the second one is 10,000. The third one is, but it's not exactly the same specs. So I can say, where can I buy these laptops? Are there any other laptops that meet my specs? What are the differences? And so on. I can say, please compare in table format. Okay, so now it's easy to see which one is maybe best overall and so on. And where can I buy this? Are there any other and so on? So I think this is faster than a Google search would have been. Okay, so then in terms of planning, let's say we are organizing a national conference on employment creation, and we want a template for a project plan. I'm maybe new to this, and I want a project plan. So let's just to get me going. for organized national, okay. So here is how such a project plan could look like. On-site conference management that I have to cater for, post-conference activities with all the ideas, project resources. And you're going to adjust it to your specific circumstances. So that's a good starting point to get you thinking about it. Now, anything we do can be translated to other languages. Let's ask it to translate this to isiZulu. Ooh, I'm not sure what I see there, like GPT 3.5 and whatever is in fact correct. So I'm not a Zulu speaker, so maybe it will be safe to share this with somebody who is and get them to check it for you. Or you can copy this and ask one of the other tools to translate it into English, back into English for you, just to see what is the quality of that translation. Okay, so this is, I think, in such a multilingual country we live in, could have very good use, or could be put into good use. Now, let's say we want to construct a communication plan for this conference. Okay, so the risk here is that this plan will now come in Zulu. Let's see what happens if it's back to English or... So my objectives, my target audience, my channels of communication. And I can go and let it elaborate on each one of those if that is my area or of responsibility or whatever. So at all levels, I think this could be useful because not all departments we don't always have state-of-the-art communication expertise that we can access 24/7 because these tools are available 24/7 and sometimes you need to come up with something very fast or check somebody else's plan and maybe something is missing. You can see what is it that can be added to improve it. Okay, you can, okay, in terms of writing, you can ask it to create a presentation for you. You can ask it to write a business case. That's also something we often do. Say I want to procure new software for GTAC. Could you give me an outline of a well-written business case? And it will give me all the elements that are tried and trusted worldwide that should form part of a business case, of the standard business case. Okay, we've already looked at the HR examples. Now
Henry,
let's say,
maybe,
yeah.
sorry, Henry, maybe we should go to the questions now and the
Okay.
chat and then yeah, because there's so much more to share, but there's quite a couple of questions there. And I saw there was something Garth Spencer-Smith and Zahid Mutala asked, is there a workaround for cell phone verification at registration? So a couple of people wanted to know that.
Cell phone verification.
Yeah, is there a workaround for maybe those colleagues, if they want to just comment or not. But if you want to go to the chats, maybe just have a quick scan
Yes.
there. It's a
Yes,
lot
okay,
there.
let me quickly do that. With those technical issues there, I think I'm not sure, I didn't encounter that, but you need to have a bit of patience. It says query carriers. Okay, now maybe somebody else in the audience can respond to that connectivity issue. Would be fantastic if this can write specifications for procurement purposes. I think we handled that. We are not seeing the screen. We cannot see.
Hermie, let me assist you with
Yeah,
some of the
please.
questions. There was just some people who couldn't see. It says, hi, how do you reference the information using AI? But I think some people also responded to that to say you cannot use it in an academic, you cannot use it as an academic source. But that was just one of the comments also. I don't know if you want to add in there. How do you reference using the
Yes.
Harvard system?
Yeah, no, that I don't know. I think here we need a knowledge expert to assist with that, because actually, I think there should be some standards. Maybe it's something we can maybe follow up on what is done at universities, what advice and guidance they give. I don't know, Marie Kirsten, if she's still in here. I think there is people that may be in the room that could come in here, but certainly I think it's ethical to cite your sources, and yeah, and that is a very good question.
Okay, yeah, so there was some discussion around it where I think I've also read some stuff in the papers where they said you know, you can't pass something off as your own because it's seen as plagiarism, but you don't really know how to reference. So somebody talked about, you know, you need to just verify and check that the work is correct, and obviously you're putting it into your own words. You know, as an academic, if you've ever done a literature review, you would still reference, but you would write it as you understand what you're reading from whichever journal. And then somebody else talks about, okay, so that was the Harvard. Somebody touched on what if school children start using this in their assignments and presentations, and somebody responded and said, well, they already are. So there was a little bit of a conversation around children using this in education. I don't know if you want to respond to that one also, Hermie.
Okay, those are the policy and the ethical issues, I think. Let me just go to that. Maybe we can ask one of these tools to give us guidance on on that how to cite and how to use that. So the things we need to know is that there is algorithmic bias. The systems can exhibit bias if the data used to train them is biased. Job displacement is something that's real because it could lead to job losses in certain industries, but then lead to job creation in other. There's privacy and data concerns because we should not send personal and private information because it uses our information. So one should be careful about that. For education, I think there's all the questions around how it's best used in education. If we can get it to learners, because it can be tutors. It can be set up to be tutors, tutoring students if they know how to follow the prompts, to tutor them on, and to even give them feedback about their responses. So it's better than a teacher that's never there, or that has to work with 45 people in a classroom. But if in a country like ours, where we still struggle to get learner-teacher support materials in the classrooms as it should be, it may create even further inequalities. The copyright, especially when we create new works of art, music, and literature, there's a whole, I actually used it to generate images. There's another tool that it's called DALL-E, that's available on this Bing, that you can use to create images from a sentence you give it. That is quite powerful, but you can create a painting that in the style of a well-known painter, that is very pleasing, and that may even have commercial value. So what is the rights of that painter? Yeah, and then it may exacerbate existing socioeconomic inequalities, as with the education system. Those are just some of the ethics considerations that we need to think about. But
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to just ask to pose one more question, just in the interest of time. Somebody asked about the current data sources dated September 2021. When will the data source be updated? So I think that's an interesting question just to address.
I don't know.
Yeah. So what I do know is that there is another version which apparently has more factual and more diverse ways in which you can interact, as you were showing us. But I think that one you have to pay for. The one that you're currently showing us, as I understand, are all free tools right now. Yeah. So there is another version. Correct. Yeah.
So no, the GPT, the plus version is just, it's not really new data. It's more, you get priority access, you get a bit of, you ensure that you always have access, and you get faster responses and maybe sharper responses. But the best workaround is that Google Bard and Bing are similar, but they come up with more recent information, is to use the tools in, together. That is until that it's not a big concern for me, because you have alternative tools.
Yeah. So there's just so much more that you could have, gone on, because there's just such a lot to learn. So I think we will definitely do a follow-up. I note there is a hand from Marie. Marie, I note your hand. We'll definitely do a follow-up, and I just want to let colleagues know that this is being recorded and it is available on the GTAC YouTube website, and I will share the prompt sheet that Hermie was using just for everybody to use. Marie, go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
As part of the Development Southern Africa Journal, where I'm an editor, we've received notifications from the publishers, Taylor and Francis, that any of these artificial intelligence tools cannot be acknowledged as a source. So whatever you generate from it, you cannot use it as a source in your reference list. How they, so that in itself creates problems if it's used as an information source. They are still struggling to customize the similarity software. Obviously, every single article goes through Similarity software, Authenticate software, and they're still struggling to customize that to pick up if some of the material used was from artificial intelligence sources, even if not acknowledged. So at the moment, they rely very much on the ethical signature of the authors, that everything in that in the article was referenced correctly. But it is illegal according to the new policies of, I guess, most publishing houses to use ChatGPT as a source. I can also put on the link their new editorial policy just for authorship, just so you can see what they mean with that. Let me put it on the link. Thanks, Anita.
Thanks, Marie. Is there any other hand? I see there's, okay, Elaine, go
Yeah,
ahead.
maybe just very quickly on that. You know, the youth are so on top of these issues. My daughter at university level, I asked her about whether they can pick up at university level if something was generated through ChatGPT, and she said, "Let me show you." And she took something that we did something quickly on ChatGPT, and then she asked ChatGPT. She took that same thing, she copied it, she said, "Was this generated by you?" And immediately the message came back, "Yes, I did this." So I think if it's the school children, I didn't even know they can do it in Afrikaans. My daughter in grade 12 told me that friends are doing their assignments in Afrikaans with ChatGPT. So if it's printed, I think it's more difficult, but if it's an electronic submission, I think they can do it manually, but they can check whether it was done by ChatGPT or any of this. But yes, so here's just thanks, Anita Harmy. This was really great. We look forward to the next session, the follow-up.
Yes. I see some interesting question there. If two people ask this, I suppose if too many people ask the same question, is the same answer generated? Not necessarily. I mean, it has to be masses of information of people asking the same for it to be biased to that. And I'm sure there's going to be checks to make sure that you know, it can't be taken over by some force. Yeah, but that's just my guess. How would we know?
Okay. Marie, is that an old hand or do you have a follow-up question? I see your hand is still up.
No, it's an old hand, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Well, Humi, thanks for enlightening us. We know that this is not going away. You have to, it's gonna happen. So I suggest everybody get on the wave. Use it to assist you in your work. I think it is valuable, but obviously check. Thank you so much, Hermie. And with that, we will have a follow-up session, and maybe Hermie can share more insights with us. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks, Army.
Thank you. Bye.
Loved it.
Thanks
Thanks
so much. This was awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.